Hello, 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 people of the internet. Ian Altsor, the Freedom Astrologer here, and doing another kind of a shortish video, I guess, and this time on jealousy. And we're going to look, just a few of astrological configurations as well that can, lead to or show more jealousy in a chart or in a person's life. But most often, even with transits and stuff like that, most people have experienced jealousy in their lives in one shape or form or the other shape or form, whatever, different ways, different situations, relationships, romantic relationships, work, career. Jealousy is still a feeling, and I'm going to dissect it a little to show you guys what's actually behind the feeling of jealousy, so you can actually deal with it, be with it, and in my view, heal it as well. Because actually there's no need to be jealous. It's just one of the, let's say, patterns we learned in childhood. And let's dive deep. So first and foremost, you can see on my on my example here, you can see, some of you who already know, astrological symbols, you can see that the Venus here is in Scorpio. Now, this is, I think, one of the most prominent indicators of all that the person can be jealous, can experience more jealousy in their lives. So if you see that in a chart, let's say you're thinking about, oh, maybe is this person a jealous kind of type? You see Venus in Scorpio. Most often, if they haven't already dealt with this kind of pattern I'm going to dissect, this means it can be a jealous person. Now, in general, whenever a person has a lot of, I'm showing you the Scorpionic symbol. Whenever a person has more Scorpio in their charts, so this can also mean, they've been through more traumatic experiences in their lives, more wounding usually, and this can also indicate more jealousy. Now, when we're talking about romantic relationships and relationships in general, we can also talk about some of the placements of the Scorpio in the chart, and where it can go to indicate even some more kind of jealous types. So when we put the Scorpio sign into the 5th house, 7th house, 8th house, very often, I would even add 2nd house as well at times. Scorpio there can indicate more of a jealous kind of type person. It depends. I'm giving very general right now indicators, but these are just some of the hints, let's say, one might look at to start, unraveling if the person, or understanding rather, if the person is more of a jealous kind of type. But the best one, or the more prominent one, is Venus in Scorpio, or a lot of planets, indicators, configurations to do with the Scorpio sign. Now, we know some of these. Now let's go into like what it actually is. Because like I said, even if you don't have Scorpio, you probably felt some type, shape or form of jealousy. And I want to explain this from a very logical perspective, what is actually is, so it's easier to be with, easier to deal with, and not mess up relationship because of it. Now, what is actually happening behind jealousy, or in the energy of jealousy? What is happening deeper behind it? And the truth is, behind jealousy is one of the deepest fears of, I would say, currently in our human consciousness. And this fear is the fear of losing love. Now, I just want to really let you guys sink into this one, and I'm going to say it again. It's the fear of losing love. Now, usually this fear originally originates from the childhood. Now, this can look or take many shapes and forms. One of the shapes and forms it can take is neglect, and I've seen it a lot, is when the person is very small and the parents have to leave them somewhere where they're not present themselves, and it can be for a longer period of time, and then the person can actually, if they're very young, they can internalize this to mean that if they are abandoned by the main people who are supposed to not abandon them and take care of them, that this means that they're not lovable, and also in the same moment that they're leaving, the parents are leaving, that they're losing actually their love. In a way, in their minds, it can mean that the parents are taking away their love, or again, like I said, the fear of losing love. And this is very often what happens there. Of course, it can take many shapes or forms. You know, especially with that Venus in Scorpio, it can be that the person is manipulated with love. You know, the parents say like, if you don't do this, you know, you won't get it, or I won't take care of you, or, you know, they kind of threaten them with survival things as well, which is very, very much to do with actually love, because, you know, survival, these material things are on a deeper level. These are actually love as well. Just remember that. So in romantic relationships, like, what is actually, let's say the person, you know, grows up now, maybe it's your situation, and what is actually happening within that romantic relationship? What is the fear there? It's the core fear is still the same, the fear of losing love, but it's like in our minds, if the person is going to somebody else, it doesn't even have to be, you know, immediately like cheating or something. They're going away from us, and because of that childhood painful deep wound, they're going away. It will trigger, whenever they go away from us, it will trigger the same fear. And then the rush of emotions, the rush of pain, those memories, you know, it doesn't have to be the same memories, but just the feeling again rises up. And then the person can start to control the situation, try to manipulate the other person not to go, and a whole bunch of other, you know, not so great stuff can happen. But the gist of this is still the fear is there inside of them. Now, this is actually usually also created by the person subconsciously, just to be able to re-experience this wound to become whole. This is the gist of why this is. Let's say you're in a pattern, maybe, you know, in these types of jealous relationships, and these jealous moments rise more and more and more. This is actually your consciousness wanting to get whole, wanting to get healed. And this is one of the reasons you're attracting these types of relationships. And unfortunately, it does also mean that there's usually, again, a hole within a person, and that hole has not been filled yet. That feeling has not been felt yet. That fear of losing that love has not yet been dealt with. And this means that the person is also dependent on outer sources for love, be it a partner, be it something else, being a career, being money, being da. You can almost insert, but the most prominent one is still the romantic partner, or sometimes friends as well. Usually just the romantic partner is more prominent, and it also means that you are, in a way, dependent on your own internal love from them. This is one of the reasons why it hurts so much, is that the hole is being filled from outside. And now when the outside is taken away from them, again, from the adult, the painful wound triggers again. Now, if we understand this, it doesn't, hopefully it makes it a little bit easier to understand and to kind of shift through and to be with. Because, in those moments, it can be a very big feeling, very intense, ideas, so much fear all at once coming up. It's really hard to understand what's actually going on internally. So hopefully this will kind of be also ingrained in your memory that, okay, whenever I'm actually jealous, I'm actually afraid of losing someone else's love. And now, what to do with this is actually one of the hardest things to do, and one of the biggest things we as humans right now should be doing. It's just to start experiencing this and start to feel this fear. Because, a lot of, let's say in a lot of jealous situations or jealousy situations, what starts happening is the person who is feeling jealous starts to manipulate and control the other person for them not to go wherever it is that they want to go. It doesn't mean immediately cheating or, just maybe they want to go out or want to spend time with their friends or whatever it is, do their own projects. Different things can trigger this wound or this pain. And as they start to control, manipulate, and then actually they create again this situation, because whenever you start to control and manipulate situation, usually the other party wants to break free from the moment, wants to go away, and now the person is again faced with the same kind of fear, facing the same kind of pain, and there's no other way with this than to actually feel this fear of losing love. Now, when you start to sink into this fear of losing love, a lot of things can happen. Now, these moments, situations from the past, from your childhood can come back. You can see them more clearly. You can see what happens. You can see who was the one doing it. Usually it's still one of the parents or both of the parents involved with it. In astrology, you can also look at the houses. In this case, we have a 12th house, Venus in Scorpio. So usually it's very deep in the subconsciousness of the person. We can talk about, some kind of like family stuff there, family patterns there with the 12th house. So somewhere in the family, somebody was experiencing this same kind of wound. So again, it got kind of like transferred over to this person. But let's say, for example, from an astrological point of view, Venus goes into the 10th or the 9th, usually the father, the 4th, usually the mother. The 3rd, usually one of the siblings. There's some issues there with it, but still, even when it's not connected to one of those houses, the best bet is still, to first start looking at the relationship with the parents. But when the person starts to actually feel and experience this fear of losing love, they will start to see who the person or who the people were that were associated with anyway. Now, if you get really good at this, you will start to actually fill that hole with inside you. This means that you actually start to see the situation as it is, not from a painful, wounded kind of childhood place. You start to see it as an adult. And after you feel that pain, the mind can start now to kick in and also see like, okay, so my partner is going, out with one of the friends, they're just chilling. It doesn't immediately mean that, a bunch of bad stuff is going to happen, or somebody's boundaries that were kind of agreed upon are going to be crossed. It doesn't matter that, or it doesn't mean that at all. And then the person let's say, arrives at the place where they understand that there's no need to actually control the situation. Once you do it enough, go deeper, you actually understand that you have the internal love there for you. You don't actually need to get it from outside source. You can just be there and love the person for who they are. And then the love is more free flowing between the two of you and within yourself as well, because this is what it's all about. It's the feel, because it sounds kind of new agey and kind of corny, but actually in truth we are love. This is unfortunate in a way and fortunate in a way as well, because you know for the logical mind, if somebody says something like new age, we're love, that doesn't really make sense. But once you do that, once you sit with yourself enough, and once you sit with your fears enough, you start to understand that these are only fears. And when they start releasing from your consciousness, which actually the feeling of these fears actually does, they start to release from your consciousness, then love can start to flow from within you. It's not only within you, it's everywhere. Again, a little bit of a new agey kind of annoying fact, but it is everywhere. It's just we're blocking it. We're basically ourselves, with our ideas, thoughts, with our inability to feel these fears. We're blocking actually the flow of love within ourselves. So hopefully this makes sense to you. And this is why I wanted to kind of offer this, is because I see a lot of people struggle with jealousy. I see a lot of people in pain because of jealousy. And it's a hard thing to do. Not always easy to do. But I recommend you start doing it gradually. Then you become freer and freer from the shackles of jealousy, and you actually liberate yourself, and you liberate your partner, your friends, from these games of being afraid of losing their love. Because in truth, it's impossible for you to lose somebody else's love. It's or in a way, let's say it is possible, because let's say that relationship ends or whatever, in a way, then we can make an argument that they're taking their love to someone else or someplace else. But the point I want to make with this is love is always free flowing within yourself. This is the truth. The only thing here stopping that free flow is your own fears, your own understandings, your own beliefs, your own ideas about this, ideas about relationships, ideas about others. And hopefully this kind of makes sense to you, and allows you to start seeing that, and allows you to start liberating yourself actually from the shackles of jealousy, like I sometimes call them. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching, for listening. Ian Alter, the Freedom Astrologer, out, and see you again in another video.